Yeah, always difficult. I think if I'd gone back to when I was a third form, I could never have done anything about this sort of thing. I'd have been too nervous, but probably over the years you actually get exposed to it. So I guess the first thing is thanks very much for the award. It's certainly not something that I expected when I first met Graham Dingle in the Himalayas many years ago. And I think following that, after having survived, I don't actually like climbing that much. It's a little bit nervous. I sort of clambered around the edges, but after having spent a little bit of time with Ding, we became good friends and certainly worked together for a number of years. And I was drawn into the web of good deeds that Dingle-G, as I know him, has weaved over the years, including obviously establishing the Outdoor Pursuit Centre, now the Hillary Outdoors Education Centre, and the Youth Development Foundation, which we were both involved with many years ago prior to the later stuff that he did. I guess every journey starts with an idea. Some would call it a vision. And I think when Graham asked me if I would join him for a stage of his epic travels up the country with some young men from prison, I was happy to accept the opportunity, a traverse of Mount Ruapehu. No rock climbing, so it's okay in the snow. I think this transformational journey for the young men involved led to the birth of Project K, and eventually Project K outgrew its beginnings and transformed by growing into the several programs that now run over the years, each year programs for more than 28,000 young rangatahi. And I thought, when Graham asked me over 20 years ago now if I would help with the establishment of Project K in the Wellington region, it was an easy yes, knowing the potential for community good that would evolve. I'd like to pay tribute, I'm not sure there's anybody watching from Wellington, but to the number of other people in the Wellington area who've worked tirelessly on the journey to ensure that GDF Wellington has survived and thrived, including Therese Anders, Peter Bennett, Peter Irwin, Diane Kelly, David Patterson, Emily Kay, and Jodie Archibald. And I think it's interesting that a couple of our trustees down there now have actually come through the programs at the schools and actually finished up coming back to contribute at the governance level or the support level. And also, I think a special mention to Jahan Fitzimanu, who's done a fantastic job for the last couple of years and unfortunately going off to join the opposition in Australia. I'm not sure what good will come of that. I think I'd also like to say we've actually run a rugby. I played a little bit of rugby a few years ago. We've actually had a lot of rugby speakers over the last 20 years. We've had rugby dinners for 20 years and raised up quite a lot of money for our trust down there through that. So big thanks to them, and again, amazing thanks to the sponsors. And I know, some of the things that I've sort of been involved with in Wellington over the last 2 or 3 years, putting together packs at Christmas and the bid foods building and that sort of stuff, which is really important because I think it's not just about being part of a community, it's about giving back to the community. And I guess, particularly a big thanks to Sir Graham and Lady Jo for all they've contributed. I think it's a big vision and it's been a difficult job, and I've sort of been fortunate to see it to a degree from the sideline, but a difficult job which has been pretty well done, but pretty well started, but I don't think yet done. I think there's 3 questions I sort of always ask myself is, why give 20 years to helping out in a trust? And I mean, it's not just because, I know Graham and Jo very well, but I think, one, there's a need. We all know there's a big need out in our communities. And I certainly grew up as a youngster in Taranaki, and as I said, I could never have stood up and spoken many years ago until I was exposed to the experiences I had in my life. And I think, given that there is a need, there is a pathway, which I think Graham and Jo have done a fantastic job at setting up. And I think the beautiful thing about that pathway is that there are fantastic outcomes that come out of it, and we've all seen those over 20 years. So thanks very much, Zing, for inviting me along 20 years ago, or actually 40 years ago now, I think, mate. But definitely, it's been a long journey, but I think one which you two guys particularly can be very proud of. Thank you.